Hey, this is Crystal from Homestead Odyssey. We're going to be doing an update on how our backyard homestead's doing, along with doing a garden tour. But before that, we're headed to our county seed swap and plant swap. And we brought some plants with us. Back here, we've got some cabbages, some kale, some tomatoes, and a couple pepper plants. And we will head in and see what they have to trade, and I will show you what we got after
and I'll
that.
show you the pepper.
Oh, show them the pepper plant. Hurry. Ta-da! Hey, we're back from the county seed swap, and I wanted to show you some of the awesome things that we got while we were there. Someone had a bunch of different little succulents. This is a little aloe vera plant right here. And then there's just a couple different ones. A couple of them have roots on them, a few of them don't. So I just have them in this seed mix, in this container where I can close it and kind of keep the moisture in there. I found that when I'm re-propagating succulents, that if they have moisture for the beginning part until they get roots, that they develop their roots a little bit faster versus just letting it dry out when they don't have any roots. This is an entire pot full of garlic that we need to get planted. Someone brought this entire pot, and it's a cute little pot that I'm hoping to use for some other stuff, but a whole bunch of garlic that I need to separate and get planted. It's a little sad right now because it's really hot, and so and we're going to be moving some of these into the shade soon. Some more of what we've got from the seed swap. This is called an arrowhead plant. They're recommending that we use it for an indoor plant. I'm thinking I'm going to put it in a pot that I can bring outside when it's warmer this summer out front. It does well in shade, and our front yard gets a lot of shade, but we don't have a lot of plants growing out there, and I think it would look really nice, but then I can bring it in the winter time. So this is something else we got. It's a nice little indoor vining plant. Here is some chocolate mint that we got. A yellow squash. We'll see how it does with transplanting, but my son really wanted to get that. And here they had, I should have gotten a picture of it before, but it was a little flower die cut that had seeds in it. And so one of our foster daughters got that, and she planted it here. And then my foster daughters picked a couple different flowers that someone had going. And then this is another little garlic plant that my foster daughter picked out, and it's starting to grow there. We got all of these, and then I've got another pot that I put some other flowers that we got. I went ahead and potted them up. These ones need to move into a bigger pot, but we just haven't had a chance to do that yet. We also got some different seeds that I've went ahead and started. We got some lamb's ear seeds, some bee balm, asparagus, and some turnip seeds, which my son already planted the turnip seeds that he got. And so we feel like we got a lot of really cool plants from the seed swap, and it was really exciting. Along with the seed swap, I wanted to show you kind of an update of where all our plants are doing. We potted up all of our tomato and tomatillo plants. Sorry, there's a little squeaky girl. Here's our tomatillos right here. They've gotten a lot bigger. They just needed a little bit more room. We've got quite a while till we can plant them outside. We've got quite a while before we can move these outside, so we wanted to give them a little bit more growing space. Oh, here's another thing I got at the seed swap. This is a different variety of a tomato. I think it was the Oregon tomato, and I'm from Oregon originally, so I really wanted this tomato just for fun. I have tons of tomatoes, but I needed an Oregon tomato. Over here we have some of our herbs. We got some thyme, some sage back here. We've got yarrow right in here. A lot of these are probably getting big enough that I could move them into a pot. I'm still trying to decide exactly where I want to keep these at, but I'm thinking of moving at least some of these herbs out front. We have a lot of deer, and from what I've read, the deer may snack on them a little bit, but they're not kind of their favorite treat, and so I feel a little safer planting those outside. Here we have our little strawberry plants. We've decided we're going to put these in a container. We haven't quite gotten to doing that yet. I think they still have a little bit more room they can grow before we have to move them. I'm hoping to do that in the next week or so. Down here we have our pepper plants, or some of our pepper plants. It's not all of them. And then here we have some more seedlings we started. These are arugula that are coming up. I think, well, no basil yet. Oh, here we've got some lemon basil. I just keep the plastic on to try to keep the moisture close to the top so that it will hopefully seed a little faster. We've got some, really hard to see them, the teeny tiny oregano seeds growing right in here. Here are some more pepper seeds that I need to get moved into soil blocks, but I just haven't had a chance to do that yet. And then I will take you downstairs to our other plants that we have growing. And here are the seeds we have in our basement. I'll see if I can kind of get a good shot for you. The purple light kind of makes it funky to look at. So these are calendula. And then these, I think, are some onions that I must have accidentally still had in there and I didn't think they were gonna come up. And so we've cut some of those. We've got down here, these are purple cone flowers or echinacea, which I'm really excited for those. Here, this is all supposed to be chamomile, but some of these, like these ones, look very different from these ones, and they're supposed to all be chamomile. So I am a little curious what these will end up being. They were all planted from the same bag that was labeled chamomile. Then over here, these are our garden huckleberries, which I'm really excited to try. They are not regular huckleberries, but they're, from what I've read, they're pretty good. They're getting really big. They're starting to get some more leaves. I think these I need to start potting up a little bit bigger. I can't plant these out till about the time I plant my tomatoes. And then over here, we've talked about these a little bit. Here, I've got some more over on this side. So turn this off, maybe you can see it better. These right here are our ground cherries that we are super excited to try. We got quite a bit of them coming up. I'm really excited for these. We'll probably start separating them out a little bit. From what I read, they will separate pretty easily, and so then we can have more plants. Now over here in this next section, right here and right here, so these two sections were mystery seeds. I ordered seeds and they came, both of these packets came separately from different places, but they didn't label what the seed was, so I wasn't really sure. And so I planted this whole row with one and this whole row with one, and one of them should have been a salad mix and the other one should have been a thornless blackberry. But what is coming up, I have no clue what this is. It's like, it almost looks like an onion, but it's really dark and thicker. But it doesn't look like a blackberry type bush, but it's only coming up in two of my squares. Oh, this one's got one. So I got three squares and they're consistently coming up with this plant, whatever this is. But so I don't know, because that does not look like some kind of salad mix. It was supposed to be a spring salad mix, but it doesn't look like a thornless blackberry bush either. So I'm really kind of curious to see what this turns into. These right here are marigolds. I'd planted some more in these, but nothing came up. Just, oh look, we got one right here. Surprise! But these ones are getting really big, so I may pot these up soon, get them a little bigger. And then this was what my other mystery one, and I've got something growing here, which could possibly be a salad, but it looks a little bit different. And then I've got right here, this looks like an onion, and I'm wondering if it was a similar case of I had an onion here that I didn't think was going to come up and planted something else. So our mysteries are still kind of a mystery. I'm not quite sure what they're going to turn out being. And then over in this tray, here's a little better angle. I switched around a couple of the trays. These are all large leaf basil plants. This one I think is lavender. Let's see. Yep. So this, and then I've got three more. So I've got five lavender plants, which I'm really excited about. We really like lavender, and it's been a plant that I've tried buying from places and I just couldn't get to grow. And I watched a video on how to grow it from seed, because I've tried from seed and not had any luck. And by following what she did on her video, these worked out perfectly. Instead of actually planting the lavender seeds, you just sprinkle them on top and then spray them and wet them down. And then once they sprout and get big, then you cover them with soil. I thought that was really cool, and it worked great. As you can see, I've got multiple. Down here, let's see if we can see it. Down here we've got a little rosemary plant. This one hasn't gone very far. It's kind of stayed this size for a while, so we'll see what happens with it. Here's another purple coneflower or echinacea. Here we've got a sage plant, some parsley, and then this is a lettuce plant that I thought that I had taken outside, but I hadn't, and so I ended up, when I was potting these up, I just put it in one of these. So that's all our seeds that we have growing inside, upstairs and downstairs, and it seems like we're doing pretty good. So I will give you our update of how things are outside. Here's what we have growing in our outside garden. We have started, there's a fall golden raspberry here, a royalty raspberry here in the middle, and then on the end we planted a boysenberry. We just barely planted those, so there's not much growth on them. Right here, if you can see that green part, that is rhubarb. We've got another rhubarb that came up right in the walkway, so I don't know how well that's gonna do. We are not having a lot of luck in our beds. We planted some cabbages and some other brassicas, and we got hit with a really cold spell. I was hoping they'd come back. We're also wondering if maybe we have too much fresh manure in our garden. It's not really fresh, but it's from last year. But we have, it's kind of hard to see because we did some darker, but that's a lettuce right there. We've got a couple little kale plants growing, and then we've got our garlic that's come up, and so that's where I'm kind of, you know, is it the issue? Because here we've got a cabbage that died, and it did get cold, but I was hoping they would come back, and maybe they still will, but my cabbages all died, and my broccoli's all died, and my collards all died, but I've got onions that are still growing fine, and I've got these garlic that came up and are fine. And so I would think if it was too much manure or too much of other stuff, that things wouldn't be living and still growing. And we've got, back here we've got some pea plants. They really suffered from the cold, but there's a couple of them that are starting to put out new green shoots. We've got here and there's a couple little plants, but a lot of it just didn't make it. Most of this bed is filled with onions though, and so I'm really hoping those will continue to grow. They're really hard to see because they're pretty tiny. There's one there, over there. So they're kind of spread throughout all this. So we're trying to decide, do we leave the beds how they are since we've got some stuff growing? Do we try to sift out some of the bigger manure and the bigger, you know, stuff that hasn't broken down, or do we just leave it? I don't know. We haven't made a decision. You know, in this bed you can see this cabbage took a beating, but it's still got a slightly green leaf, and we do have warmer weather kind of ahead of us. Here we've got a kale that had kind of a hard time, but we've got new growth coming right in the middle of that. So I don't know. I'm kind of hopeful that it'll be able to revive itself, but it's just hard to know. We're not very good at gardening, and we really wanted to get a garden going this year, and I think our mistake was we dumped all our manure and stuff in this area during the fall, hoping that it would have enough time to process, and I don't know if it had enough time. We do have several large compost piles around the yard that we're trying to get some good compost. This little girl just took her shoes off, so hang your shoes inside if you're not going to wear them. She's going to walk right through my raspberries, aren't you? Right through there. You want to come grab her, Sam? You proud of yourself walking through the... Oh, you just took it out. We're going to be putting actual beds around our raspberries. We just haven't had a chance to put it around. And this little girl has just been amazing at walking through all the different beds. Come on. Let's get out of here. Go on, Miss No Shoe Lady. Here, go to Big Brother. Ugh. So come look over here. You know, there's a couple things. We've got, I think this is a beet that we've got growing down here. We've got one, look, either cauliflower or broccoli that made it. Got chives here. Some more garlic growing. So I don't know. I guess this is part of the experiment of doing gardens. We do have some chives that came back up from last year here. It's my son Thatcher's little chive plant, and he loves picking chives. So here are honeyberry bushes, and they're doing really well. They're actually just now starting to put out some flowers. So I'm really excited. We've never had honeyberries before. Here's our other honeyberry bush. This one's got a lot more green on it than the other one. And it's also putting out some flowers. So this apple tree always puts out its leaves and stuff a little bit later, but we're starting to get some leaves on this. Over in this area where we wanted to put down bricks because we said nothing grows over here, we have a whole bunch of bulbs. I planted these bulbs 2 years ago and none of them came up last year. Like none, maybe one, if that. But we have a bunch of bulbs up this year. We'll see if they go to flower. We've got a couple that are starting to bud out. And so I don't know, this may change our plans. We may leave this area. Maybe we'll just brick in this part. I don't know. I just wanted a place that we could put our table and chairs. This may be another option for planting some. We have a little, I don't know what kind of bush, but a flower bush in here, and I'm not seeing any life from it. So if that doesn't come in, this might be the better spot to put the bricks down. And then here we've got our larger rhubarb plant. We put some fencing over it because our dog and our chickens were digging them up. And we've got a couple that are pretty much ready to go ahead and harvest and eat on here, so maybe we'll pull some of those off. Now that it's bigger, they won't dig up so much, but as you can see, they sure dig up this area, which I'm kind of letting them just have at it. They're getting the spiders and the bugs that come over here. I'm planning on putting a lot of compost here when we have stuff available, but we just don't have a lot right now. So here's our other apple tree. It's got a decent amount of leaves coming out on it, budding out, so we're excited for that. So this is the green apple, right? So this tree, we get green apples on this tree, and our other one gives us red apples. And it doesn't want to focus. But yeah. Over here we have our jostaberry bush, and it's kind of hard to see through this fencing, but we are starting to get buds on it. We're excited for this. These are our honeyberries, and our jostaberries were new that we planted last fall. So we're really excited to try these this year. Chickens, we let them outside to eat some grass, dig up some bugs. We'll do our week 5 update on our meat chicks. Excuse me, ladies. There's not a lot to update with these guys other than they're just getting bigger. They're looking good. They're enjoying being outside. They're eating quite a bit of brewer grains right now. We are bringing them out just under a 5-gallon bucket worth. We split it up between, we bring them out food in the morning and bring them food out in the evening, and they're doing pretty good with that. They're out enjoying the sunshine. It is week 5 for those meat birds, and since we got them at about 2 weeks old, that would make them about 7 weeks. Many people harvest them about 8 weeks old, but I think we're going to need a little bit more time for them to fatten up, just for the amount of time that they were inside. Okay, so this is something new that we did since our last update. Let's see if I can get a good shot of it. Is we fenced off this half of our yard. Originally it was just fenced off a little section over there, but we wanted to section off this entire half of our yard because we want to put more raised beds over here, and we want to keep the kids and the animals out of it. Okay, so here's our other new addition. My husband built us a raised bed with a hinged low tunnel on top. I'll show you what we've got going on in here. So, and this is where we had that cold snap, and even with the low tunnel, we did lose one cabbage. I keep thinking, oh, it looks like it's got some new growth on it. So that cabbage plant may not be a total loss. We'll see. But inside here we've planted, here, let me put this lid down so I can use both my hands and you can see a little better. So we've got This cabbage plant here, that's doing good. We have 2 parsley plants in here. We have a thermometer to keep track of what the temperature and humidity is. Back here we've planted broccolis and cauliflowers. This section right here we haven't planted. I'm saving that for more parsnips. We are sprouting the parsnip seeds inside and then we're bringing them out here once they're done. So we have 2 rows of parsnips here already planted. And then you can see we've got some broccoli. We sowed them kind of thickly because we were worried they wouldn't come up. But we've got some broccoli seeds coming up. Little broccoli sprouts. So that makes me a little excited because all the broccoli and cauliflower we transplanted in the other garden all died after it got cold. This little cabbage got too cold. But right here in the middle we've got a new leaf. So I'm going to take off some of these old ones. I won't take all of them off because it'll need some. And then over here we got a little seed. This whole section here has been planted pretty thickly with a couple different kinds of lettuces along with spinach. So we're just kind of waiting for those to come up and we'll see. This bed's getting, well, it's a little damp, but I may water it later today if it gets hotter. It's kind of cloudy this morning, so I'm not super worried about it. And then to vent the tunnel, we just have this block of wood here. And if it's really hot, we'll stand the wood up and it will vent it quite a bit more. But again, it's pretty cloudy this morning, so the tunnel shouldn't get too warm. So that's our first tunnel. We are hoping to do a couple other tunnels either later this year in the fall, maybe one more this spring, we'll see. Just kind of depends. Okay. Over this way, we had 2 compost piles, but we ended up putting them together because they had gotten pretty small. We had them covered with plastic, hoping to keep them from getting too cold, but we ended up making it almost too hot, so we have taken the plastic off and watered it a little bit to get it to cool down. Got a couple onions coming up here. Let's see if we can see them. Couple little onion plants right here that we must have missed pulling out last year. Over here we have our raspberry plants. These have been in this spot for 2 years. We've gotten maybe 2 raspberries off of them. They haven't done great. That's why we're putting the other patch in the other garden to see if it does a little better. But we've got some growth coming off of some of the old canes, and then we've got a bunch of new shoots down at the bottom. So this is the most growth we've seen on this plant since we've moved it over here. So maybe that's some good signs. And back here, we've got our beehive, and bees are just starting to come out because it's warming up. I just recently posted a video of me checking them for the first time this year, and they're doing really well. So we're really excited about that. So our last spot to update is back here is our Ruth Stout method area. We're starting to see a lot of these weeds coming up that were here before. This is a dandelion. I'm not super concerned about that one, but the weeds do kind of just take over back here. That's one spot where our grapevine is. I'm not expecting to see much from them for a while. Our grapevines don't show up for quite a while. It's got to warm up quite a bit more. We did plant, you can see kind of this disturbed area. I tried planting some potatoes back here, so we'll see how they do. I planted potatoes in a couple areas of the yard just to see what potatoes would come up, what potatoes wouldn't. So, and then here is our other grapevine. And I'll see if this will pick it up. Right down here, there's a couple little tiny buds starting to form. And so they're alive, it'll be a while before they really do much growing. And I just kind of pull the mulch back just so it doesn't get any rot down here. Now we still need a bunch of hay, and obviously our yard needs a major cleanup over on this side. We've got a lot of projects going that we just need to finish up and clean up. Now what's under here, I'm not going to completely uncover this because we are supposed to get more rain today. But we have been drying out brewer grains on tarps outside because we're still getting a lot of brewer grains from our local brewery more than we can process, or more than we can use before they go bad. So we've been putting tarps out in this area and just drying them out, and I'll show you how much we've gotten so far. So in this covered bucket, we've got almost an entire garbage can full, and this is all free food that my goats will eat, that our chickens will eat. So the kids are starting to work with their 4-H animals, getting them ready for county fair, which is in a couple months. Thatcher, what's your chicken's name?
Penguin.
Yep, so this is Penguin, and Thatcher's going to show his chicken during Pee-wee for poultry. And so he's working on, he's trying to get it to eat treats, but it's not quite interested in them yet. But this is kind of his first time working with it. We'll try to work.
This is a mealworm?
Yep, it's a mealworm. That's what we use for treats to train them. Here are the goats. Do a quick little update on them. The babies are getting much bigger. They are currently in a temporary structure outside of the pig barn because they are starting work on the new 4-H goat barn, which will be a lot bigger and enclosed. So babies are getting bigger. The black one here, Lydia, she is going to be going to her new owner, which is a 4-H member in our group, and her name will be changing to Lupe. And then these 3 other babies, we have 2 boys selling the 2 brown wethers, and then the white girl, we had a buyer for her, and then that buyer ended up no-showing, and we ended up taking 2 new foster children, and one of the older girls that we took wanted the opportunity to sell her, so it ended up working out. So we've got 3 kids selling these 3 goats at fair, and then this Lydia is going to be going to her new home once the new goat barn's finished. So the babies all have a place to go, and then we'll be keeping, or Sam will be keeping the mama goats, and he's planning to breed them again this fall and have babies again next year. So that is our goat update. They've got some new neighbors from other 4-H kiddos, and so we're starting to work on training them to walk. They're still fighting quite a bit. We just recently banded both the boys, and we're gonna be trying banding the horns and see how that works. We've tried cutting and disbudding the babies, but most of them started growing back. And then Stella was supposed to be dehorned when we got her, but she ended up growing back, which is pretty common in goats. But it makes it really hard for the kids to show her because her horns end up catching their arms. So we're going to try banding their horns off. So that's pretty much it for our beginning of May update and our week 5 of our meat chickens. You know, everything's starting to kind of come back to life, and that's where we are so far. So if you like our videos, give us a thumbs up so that you can help get our videos out to other people. And if you enjoy hanging out with our channel, make sure to click that subscribe button so that you'll know when our newest videos are up, and hit that bell icon because then you get an email when we post out a new video. So thanks again for watching.